I don't know which of my friends and maybe even my family thought I was crazy. Why would a kid, a 16-year-old guy, who really just wants to blend in with everybody else. And of course, at that age, no one really wants to stand out unless it's for something fantastic. Why would a guy who has an uncontrollable movement disorder, and I guess I didn't get really specific. When I say uncontrollable, I mean uncontrollable. You don't even know it's going to happen. It happens and then it's gone. And it's repetitive. So these tics, these twitches, these movements happen over and over and over again. So when they happen, it's the type of thing that draws people's attention. Why would a 16-year-old guy want to stand up in front of his entire school in a play? Why would he want to audition? Because when the white-hot spotlight hits you, you can't move away. You can't get out of the way. When it's your turn to deliver a line, you have to deliver a line. A play is a team effort. Everybody works together to get from the beginning to the end. And now all of a sudden, why would this kid want to hold himself up to potential ridicule? Because if you bring the entire thing to a screeching halt and it becomes a failure, you will be made fun of for the rest of your time in school. But here's the crazy thing. The thing nobody knew, not even me. I auditioned for this play, and all the tics, all the twitches vanished like a magic trick. I stood up in front of everybody, and they saw nothing. I was good at it. Never been on stage, got the lead role in a play I probably shouldn't have. There were seniors that had a lot more experience than me. That is approximately the same year I decided to go to a magic shop. I used to play poker with my friends on Friday nights, and I thought it would be fun to learn, a couple of card tricks, and I hated to lose. So I went to a magic shop, and I remember walking in, and there's this guy standing behind the glass cabinet, and I'm looking at all this stuff, having the faintest clue what all this stuff is. And he says, yeah, can I help you? And I say, well, what is that? And what is that? And what is that? And he would show me these things. And my head felt like it was going to explode. I'd never seen anything so impossible in my life. And I remember thinking two things. Number one, why have I never seen this before? How can this be? How can this be? And yet I've never seen it in my entire life. And number two, I have to share this experience with other people. Now, why do I tell you all of this? I tell you all of this because it all goes back to the magazine article. It goes back to the quote. You see, the author of the article's first impression was that it would be impossible for me to do anything on stage. The unfortunate truth in my life, but not just in my life, in many of our lives, is that throughout our lives, there are people who will tell us what they think we're capable of. There are people who will label us with certain labels and decide that you are only so good. And then we start to believe that. Which leads us to what I refer to as impossible principle number one, belief. The things that we believe always prove to be true. I didn't believe I would have any trouble in that school play. I thought it would be fun. There was no problem with my belief system, so I decided to go out for the play. I tell you what I didn't believe I could do. I didn't believe I could learn something called sleight of hand. I remember being in that magic shop and seeing some magicians, and one of the guys that I was standing next to goes, you see that sleight of hand? That's really, really hard. There are some people that spend their whole life with that discipline. And I thought, oh, it's really, really hard. People spend their whole life doing that or learning that? That's not something I could do. And because I believed that, I didn't do it. For the first 2 years doing magic, I would buy the things that would simulate sleight of hand. So I had to have some sort of a special prop or some sort of a special thing with me to do magic. If you met me, if you saw me somewhere and said, hey, can you show me a magic trick? And I didn't have the things, I couldn't do anything. And I had an interesting situation where the guy did it in a kind way, but he walked up to me and he made it clear that he knew what I was doing and he knew how I was doing it, and it just killed the experience for me because I so wanted to share this experience with people that that I had never seen until I was that age. I so wanted to share this experience to people, it killed the experience, and I said, never again. And I had some interesting opportunities open up for me that sort of opened my mind to the idea that I could learn sleight of hand, and so I decided to start learning sleight of hand. The entire world believed it was impossible to escape from a straitjacket for over 100 years. Over 100 years. Harry Houdini said, I'm going to make that a personal challenge. I have something that I refer, it's sort of my philosophy. It's a life philosophy. I call it live big. It's very simple. It's easy to say that and sort of get motivated, but it's very specific. Live big, B-I-G, and each one of those letters stand for something. The B in live big stands for belief, because the things that we believe about ourselves always prove to be true. I think I can audition for this play. I had no trouble getting a role. I don't think I can learn sleight of hand. Didn't learn it. Didn't even try. Wouldn't even open my mind up to the possibility of doing it. Live big with belief.